Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm your host, Dr. Haider Shah. On behalf of Calvas, I would like to welcome all of you to this webinar. Thank you very much for joining us. Today, we have another very interesting topic, and I'm really honored to welcome and introduce our distinguished guest speaker who is going to talk about mental health awareness for educators. As a dedicated educators, your well-being is crucial to encourage a supportive learning environment. So, today our guest will talk about the essential strategies to enhance your mental health, manage stress, and cultivate resilience, ultimately empowering you to better support both your students and yourself. So, indeed, a very interesting topic, and I'm sure you will learn a lot from this session because we have an expert with us in today's this session. So, stay tuned because an amazing stuff are coming ahead in this session. So before we start, I would like to thank Kalwas for arranging such enlightenment sessions, for their support and providing us such a wonderful platform. The aim of Kalwas is to give you the opportunity to connect and interact with world-renowned speakers, academic leaders, teachers, authors, researchers, experts, professionals, and businessmen to learn from their experiences, recommendations, and suggestions which will create an impact and will enable you to learn and develop yourself in order to grow and transform individually as well as to contribute to the world in a positive way. As our slogan is come, learn, and share knowledge. So today we have amazing person as guest. She is a multi-talented person with a great, amazing qualities, having a wonderful experience and exposure, a well-known personality and recognized speaker. She is a great human being, and we always see her while sharing her knowledge on different platforms. So let me introduce her formally. She is the founder and CEO of the Bliss Education Center, Brency Film and the HDN Stuff, a certified TESOL by the Arizona State University, USA, certified NLP master practitioner, ACT REFT, the therapist, emotional intelligence trainer, certified entrepreneurship and business coach, certified employee performance coach, certified professional workshop facilitator, certified group life coach, certified sound wave healing therapy practitioner, certified meditation teacher, certified energy and boundaries practitioner, along with that, mental health advocate, author, and international speaker. Moreover, remain a Best Mental Health Advocate award by the MHI Network, awardee of the some international awards as a mental health advocate in 2020. She made a community called Pull Empower, a community to power well-being by pull the information that she provides on social media. Last but not the least, she is a wonderful speaker, author, teacher, researcher, professional, and above everything, a great human being. So please help me in welcoming our guest, Miss Herdiana Dewi Nurfika. Welcome to the Kalwas platform and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Dr. Haider, for your wonderful introduction. It's absolutely my pleasure to be here to share my knowledge with all of the participants across the globe. And today, our topic is very crucial because I know our participants are educators, and as educators, we have faced so many challenges related to the mental health issues because sometimes we might find students with, yeah, let's say difficult personality. Sometimes we find, yeah, easy personality, and this kind of things, yeah, sometimes bring burnout or even stress to us. So in this session, I do really hope that all the participants who are watching us right now can take away something and can learn something from our session. So without any further ado, let me share my screen.
Sure, please. Over to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much once again, Dr. Haider. Okay, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. First of all, thank you for watching in the session and also being here. Like I have said before, our topic for today is dedicated for the educators around the world because it's really important for us to maintain our mental health and also well-being. So yeah, we already got some highlight from Dr. Haider, so I'm going to skip this introduction. Okay, in today's topic, we're going to cover some highlights. First, the introduction, common mental health challenges faced by students, sign of distress, building trust and communication, self-care for educators, and promoting mental health awareness in the school. So for the next an hour or maybe a little bit more, please stay tuned with us because we're going to learn more in this topic. Okay. So, first of all, we know that when a student are having, yeah, a personal problem related to their mental health issues, such as maybe anxiety, depression, or even stress, there will be a significant difference that obviously affect their academic score or even absent because for example when students are having stress instead of go to the class they simply want to avoid the teachers or even the friends. If maybe a student got bullied at the school, it's not possible for them to be excited to go to the classroom. They tend to isolate themselves. So this kind of the things it's going to lead with so many problems. And if this problem is continuously, who is going to get another stress beside the students? Of course, the teacher or the educators. That's why we need to learn how to cultivate this kind of the things. And as educators, we have the ability and power to make an inclusive learning environment for our students because yeah, when you enter the classroom, you got the key where you're going to drive your students, whether you're going to take a right, whether you're going to take the left, it's your choice. And when you try to put a good role model, for example, in the classroom, and you foster a sense of belonging, understanding, and respect to each one of the students, then you can simple create an inclusive learning environment. But if the educators simple don't put empathy in the classroom. Let's say the teacher cannot notice when there is a student with a pale face and also seems like showing some kind of physiological sign of anxiety or stress, then they will let it that student sitting in the classroom without knowing what actually going on in their mind, which is not going to be good in their academic result after one semester, for example, or after a few tests or exams. So it's really important as teacher to cultivate our emotional intelligence as well. Okay, now, as you can see in the screen, I put three most common mental health challenges faced by the students. Actually, there are some other kind of the challenges as well related to the mental health issues for students, but these three are the major and most common things for the student. First is anxiety. And yeah, anxiety is characterized by excessive worry, fear, and restlessness, which can interfere with daily activities and concentration. Why I put anxiety, even though there are many other common mental health issues, because when students have anxiety, it's obviously and clearly going to affect their academic result because they got distraction on their mind. They cannot pay attention to what teacher is telling to them in the classroom. They cannot even sit properly in the classroom because yeah, they got so much fear. How about if my friends try to attack me? How about if my teachers try to ask me question that I cannot even answer it? So you are, let's say, start sabotaging yourself when you got anxiety, and this is not really good for the students. Next is depression. Some students even have either anxiety or depression, and many students have both anxiety and depression. And this is not really good for the students itself because, yeah, depression involves persistent feelings of sadness, loss of interest or pleasure, and change in sleep and also appetite patterns. Imagine when your students loss of interest, they don't have interest in your class, in your subject. They don't have interest to go outside with their friends. They don't have pleasure when other students are having pleasure playing together with the other students. Then nothing interests to them. And when this thing happen to our students, for example, they tend to isolate themselves. They don't want to associate with another students. They also don't have interest. They don't have enthusiasm in their classroom, and it means that it will be passive in the classroom. And when the students become a passive students in the classroom, we know as educators where it's going to go, where the score is going to put for them, whether it's going to be bad or good, right? And this depression can really lead to a lack of energy, even though they did nothing, even though they simply don't engage or associate much with their friends. But this kind of the things really drain their energy, so they got lack of energy because there's a change in appetite as well. They also got difficulty concentrate, same like anxiety and feeling of helplessness. Students with depression, they tend to catastrophizing their mind, so they assume the worst thing that will happen. Let's say they're going to have an exam or important tasks in the next weeks or next month. Instead of study, a student with depression, they're assuming that they're going to get C or D, or they simply say to themselves that they're going to fail the test. So they expect the worst, which is really make the depression even become worse and worse. Next is stress. Yeah, stress often caused by academic pressure. Like actually, not only students, teacher, or educators. When you got so many tasks from the principal or from the school itself, you're going to get so much pressure, and it brings you stress because it's overwhelming yourself. And extracurricular activities, personal challenge also can cause the stress, and this kind of the thing can make a physical and emotional strain. So this also can affect students' ability to cope and manage their responsibility effectively. Because when you got pressure you put on your brain that you are in danger, you cannot even think properly, you cannot even put the concentration for what you are going to do. So this is going to absolutely distract the student. When we got distract, even when we put our concentration, we cannot guarantee that we are going to answer 100% for sure. It's going to be passed for the example. We cannot guarantee that, it's going to be a perfect score. So even if we have studied, for example, before the exam, sometimes we cannot guarantee that we're going to pass the test. But when students is having stress, they cannot even manage what's going on their mind. So so for the common things that I have mentioned, it's not only about simple randomly choose or pick up. Okay, I want to talk about anxiety, depression, and stress. No, but because there is a research finding according to the National Institute of Mental Health, anxiety disorder affect approximately 31.9% of adolescents aged 13 and also 18 in the United States. And according to the American Psychological Association reports that anxiety is the most common mental health concern among college students, with around 41.6% seeking counseling service for anxiety related to issues. This is a real thing, especially for the college students. Actually, many high school students also got anxiety. Why? Because they get a pressure. They have an academic pressure that they should meet in order to make their parents happy or in order to graduate from the school. And for depression, according to the World Health Organization, is the leading cause of disability worldwide and affects people of all ages, including students. Okay, so just because you're still young, you don't have to think how to pay the bills, you don't have to think how to do certain things. It doesn't mean that you are free from depression, because it's in fact it affects all ages. There is no age territory for this mental health issue. And a study published in the Journal of Adolescent Health found that 31.5% of high school students experience depressive symptoms at some points. And again, the academic pressure is actually really make the important point that causes this depression. Stress, according to the American Psychological Association, also make a teenager have higher stress levels than adults, with school-related stress being a significant contributor. And a study conducted by the American College Health Association found that nearly 62% of college students report experience overwhelming anxiety in the past year. Again, this kind of things must be about the environment, the academic pressure, and the other external factor. Because we cannot grow, we cannot bloom when we are, let's say, in the wrong environment. That's why, as educators, like I have said in the beginning, we got a key to drive whether we're going to take the right or left for our students. Okay, so here you can see on the screen there are some sign of distress. First, sudden change in behavior or personality. Let's say you have a student who really so energetic, and suddenly you notice there is change in behavior or personality. When you see this kind of things from your students, it's better to talk slowly and be friendly without asking judgmental question. Next is social withdrawal or isolation. Like I have explained before, there's a change in pleasure. Maybe a student used to really enjoy for playing football or volleyball or simple hang out with their friends before, but suddenly they withdraw themselves, they isolate themselves, they don't want to go hang out, they don't want to participate in extracurricular, or they don't want to have a coffee with their friends. When something happen, or when you see that there's a change in your student, for this kind of the things, you have to consider, or you have to put concern before it late. Next is increased irritability or aggression. When someone is having mental health issues, it's going to be more sensitive because, yeah, let's say you cut your hand in here and you got a burst, or yeah, simple, you got a bleeding in here. You got a pain in your wrist, right? In your wrist. And then when you touch it, you're going to react suddenly without even thinking, oh, what I have to respond, whether I have to take a deep breath or something like that. It's not working in that way when you clearly absolutely having a pain in the specific area of your body. It's also same when you got a problem, for example, in your head, and you got a trigger, you tend to defend yourself, you become more sensitive because that person or the other person who is talking to you is a pin point, it's pin your trigger part, and you become defensive or even so aggressive. Next is difficulty concentrating or decreased academic performance, like I have said, with the anxiety, depression, and also stress. Mostly the students got lack of concentration because so many things running on their mind. They don't even know what they have to do right now, what they're going to do next, what kind of the homework that they have to finish. Next is change in appetite or sleep patterns. Some students who are having mental health issues, they got insomnia because, yeah, they simply don't know how to sleep well because they got so many negative self-talk, for example. Or the other part, there are also some kind of people who have mental health issue and they only want to sleep a whole day. It depends on the person. And when we talk about mental health issue, one thing that I want you to remember, that this kind of a thing is a unique process, unique journey. Just because, for example, you have a depression at the early age, it doesn't mean that the coping strategies that you are having is going to be the exact same with your students, because we all are unique and we have to find the unique pattern for ourselves in order to heal or to make improvement in ourselves. Next is engaging in self-harm behaviors or expressing suicidal thoughts. When we got depression, stress, or anxiety, we tend to give up easily. We don't want to be resilient. Let's say I didn't pass the test. Maybe you heard your students say like that. And instead of uh, motivate themselves to study even more or and harder, they simple got no intention, and simple, maybe they don't want to make their parents sad, or they don't want to embrace themselves by not passing the test, and then they want to end the life. There's some kind of a student, especially especially in Asia countries like in South Korea or even in Japan, when they don't meet the standard of the society. These kind of things really lead to high rate of societal cases in these countries, because yeah, so much pressure, not only for the academic but for the environment that where they're living is asking so much things from themselves. Next is signs of distress. First is persistent sadness or frequent mood swings. Next is intense feelings of anxiety, worry, or fear. And the third is expressing feelings of helplessness or worthlessness. Next is loss of interest or pleasure in previously enjoyed activities, like I have mentioned. If your students suddenly withdraw or isolate themselves from their peers or from their best friends, then you gotta put the concern in that student, because there must something going on their mind. Next is a physical signs in the distress. Unexplained physical complaints like headache, stomach ache is really common things. Common physical signs of distress. Next is significant weight gain or loss. For example, when someone is having insomnia because of mental health issues, they might want to watch movie or binge watching for hours, and then also snacking, which cause them to gain the weight. And there is also kind of the students who are going to lose their weight simple because yeah, they don't want to eat. There's a change appetite. And when we talk about the change of appetite, either you're going to gain your weight or lose your weight, like I have said, because every individual is unique and we cannot put a generalization in this case. Next is fatigue or lack of energy. Why lack of energy? Because they don't even enthusiast, they don't even find a pleasure or interest in what they are doing. So they feel lack of energy even if they did nothing. Next is noticeable change in personal hygiene of or appearance. This is the other things that sometimes easily for educators to snap this point, because maybe in your journey as educators you have seen a specific students with a really good hygiene and good appearance, but suddenly come to your class with a messy hair, with in iron clothes, or yeah, simple unorganized homework or some kind of things. Let's say suddenly the students become such a mass person. When there is something happen like that continuously, then you also have to put a concern. Maybe some students didn't have time to make their hair because they wake up late. It's different case. Let's say you have students and coming late to your class with a messy hair, with a messy makeup or some kind of things. That's different thing. Because when you find a student coming late with a massive appearance, which is different from what they used to present in the classroom, and then they didn't even defend themselves when they just enter the class, then there must be something wrong. Because if they wake up late, we know that the students might make excuses, but students with anxiety, depression, or stress, they don't really care because they don't interest with your lesson or with your subject, or in their classroom they don't have a pleasure for doing what they supposed to do. So instead of give the teacher or educators the access why they come late, they simple, yeah, just enter the class with maybe straight face or not even showing a guilty face, and didn't don't want to make an excuse for why they're coming late, because they find, I don't care whether I have to come late or not. I don't get the pleasure, I don't get enthusiasm in this classroom, so they simply just come and let and go. You have to notice if you meet this kind of the students. So, why we are talking mental health as early detection or intervention? Because yeah, when you can spot earlier this kind of the things, you can provide timely support. Because by identifying signs of distress early on, we can intervene before mental health challenge worsen, leading to better outcomes for students. Because let's say, as an educator, Some teachers are having a high empathy. They can spot easily by seeing the face of the students, but the other teachers are lack of empathy. They have to ask the students without let's say they cannot guess from the appearance of the students. So this different cast. But one thing, as educators, please put on your mind that you need to educate, but you are not going to educate the robot. You're going to educate a human. You have to build a communication, and you have to do at the screening for your students. Like, okay, we got Alexander, for example, we got Christy. Okay, Christy is having this kind of personality. Alexander is having this kind of personality. Put that on your mind. But some teachers might say, oh, I have hundreds of students. How can I remember them? Then at least pay attention, fully attention, and being aware or mindful when you are having class. So even if you don't remember the exact name, the exact personality of each one of your students, at least when you are present in their classroom, you can notice which one of your students who are not really engaged and who seem showing like of enthusiasm in their classroom. Next is academic impact. Yeah, when you simple let the students with mental health issue keep going, keep showing, or even keep isolating themselves, then you know exactly they're going to have a bad grade at the end of the school year, for example, which is really not good, not only for the students, but also for the teachers, because some parents might blame you. This is something that we cannot resist, right? So by intervening early, educators can help minimize the negative effects on learning, attendance, and engagement in the classroom. Because when the students don't have enthusiasm, how about attend, or how about do the homework or all the assignment activities? They simply don't want to, and they don't want to attend your classroom. They don't want to join. They simply want to do other things that might, yeah, let's say interest them. And early intervention can really help the students regain focus, develop coping strategies. This is the most important things, because develop a coping strategies is not a homework that we can finish in 1 hour. It takes time. That's why early intervention is really important. Next is prevention and resilience. So by addressing mental health challenge at an early stage, we can support the students in developing healthy coping mechanisms, enhancing their resilience, and promoting positive mental health practices. Let's say some teachers or educators said that it's easier for us to teach the kid below the 10 years old rather than teen or adult. Yeah, because they don't have so much memories on their mind, and when you keep pouring the positive things, it's easier for their brain to reach that memory, which is going to represent, because we got million of neurons on our brain, which is connect, rewire, getting stronger by what we are doing, what we are seeing, what we are hearing. And when you pouring the positivity, and when you pouring the good things, it strengthen the connection of each neuron. So let's say they got a bad thoughts, but you keep pouring the positive thoughts. It's not going to be disappear suddenly from their mind, but at least their memories is going to take longer time to access that negative thought, because they got much more positive thought, which is accessible much easily for them. Next is safety and supportive environment. So if you are trying to normalize conversation about mental health, we can reduce stigma, encourage open dialogue, and create a culture of support within the school community. Some most common things that happen is, okay, it's taboo for talking about mental health issue, or is a shame for talking about mental health issue, because yeah, you're not healthy, you are not a good person if you have a problem with your mental health. There's kind of the stigma like that. You are crazy, you are stupid, or you are insane. This kind of the words are often heard by the person who is having mental health issue, and it's not really nice to be in that kind of environment. That's why when we are encouraged to open dialogue about, okay, you simply have a discussion in the classroom before or at the end of your session in the class, like simple ask them, how's your day, how's your feeling right now? And then maybe some students are going to start answering your question, and some students might be silent. But when you keep trying, you show that you are caring with them, you want to know how's they're feeling, you put your empathy in that vibes of the class. So it's going to make a supportive environment, and you are going to reduce the stigma that it's okay to talk about mental health issue, it's not a shame, and it's obviously perfectly okay if you want to open up the conversation with you as the teachers, because maybe some students are not really comfortable to talk to their friends about this kind of things because they might afraid if their friends are going to judge them. Next, this is the important thing. Yes, building trust and communication. So we have to address the mental health issues, and we only can achieve this thing if we are having trust from our students. Because let's say, how can you know the problem of your students if your students don't even trust you? And when we talk about mental health issue, we have to gain and build a rapport. We have to know why this thing happened to our students, what the trigger points, is there any past things that affected these students, and these kind of things we will only get the answer by having trust and communication. Okay, and when we establish the trust, they feel safe, they feel okay to have open dialogue with our teachers, talk about my issue, talk about the stress that I get from home, the stress that I get from my friends, the stress that I get from my assignments. Then they're trying to be open to you. But when you are become a killer teacher, for example, how could they have a communication when they are even afraid to see your face, or even to simply hear your name? They are really afraid. Then that's not going to work in this way. So trust really allows for effective communication, active listening, and empathy. So this kind can help us understand better and respond to students' needs. Why I put active listening? Because when we are trying to build a rapport, when we are trying to get to know the problem, we have to be a good listener first, because we want to hear their stories. Okay, we need to know the root causes, what triggers them, what causes them having stress or depression. So by fostering trust, we can play early detection of mental health issues. Like we can support them by having an open dialogue to make the weight on their children a little bit less, or even we can guide them to more professional help. Okay, because this trusting relationship can really promote a sense of belonging and validation. We cannot tell our stories to the people or to the community that we don't even trust. It's not really possible. And which this kind of things can really have impact to our student willingness to seek help. For example, you try to open dialogue about mental health issue with your students. You know that you are educators for math, for example, or you are educators, you are teach in the subject of biology, for example. You know this is not your scope, this is not your field. You need to suggest your students to find a professional help. Then they will not be 100% afraid to find the help, because you already introduce to your students what you need and how other people can help you through this matter. So they are not going to come to the psychiatrist, or maybe the counselor with a 0 page. At least you put 20% or 30% knowledge on the issues of your students. And then when this kind of things happen, you can help your students to have get engaged in self-care, because sometimes the students only simply need someone to listen to their problems, to hear, or to not get judged for everything that they feel. Not all of them need to seek a professional help. Some of them can really get rid of with the negative thoughts by telling the story and simply get advice from the teacher. So it's all the unique journey. So now it's a time for us to know the strategies to foster open and supportive conversation. Because yeah, we're talking about building trust and communication. First, create a safe and non-judgmental environment. So we have to make an atmosphere for our students where they feel comfortable for expressing their thoughts and emotion without fear of judgment or criticism. That's why we need to be an active listener, like I have said before. So assure confidentially and emphasize that their feelings and experiences are valid and valued. Don't say to them, "Are you real for having this kind of things? Don't you think you are dumb? Don't you think it's not too much?" Please don't say this kind of things to your students or to everyone while they are telling you the problem, because it means you are simple judge them. Okay, simple listen to them. Become a person who is fully open your ears and without judgmental feel without judgmental thought, and then also active listening. So after you become a person who's going to pay attention and listen without judgmental thing for the stories that you hear, you also have to be an active listener. So you can give the full attention, maintaining eye contact and showing empathy. Because why I put active listening? Let's say you are hearing your student tell about their mental health issue. Don't simply say sit down and okay. What is your problem? Where are the trigger, or what did you feel yesterday? If you ask them with that kind of straight face, then they're not going to be comfortable. So when the students are telling you the story, at least you show the, yeah, you simply nod your head, showing that you are really pay attention to them, or you can show the other guests that you really validate their emotion and reflect their concern. You simply listen to them, but you showing your expression that you are having empathy, that you do really listening to them. Okay, and ask open-ended question. So in this way you can know that okay, there must be something that you need to dig deeper instead of a simple yes or no question. You're not going to get any further information if you want to know this if you only simple ask yes or no question. Next is normalize mental health discussion. Like I have said, we have to open up about this kind of things, because yeah, this way it's going to help reduce the stigma, and we can make our students comfortable with their feelings and emotion. Next is use appropriate language. Okay. So use language that is clear, non-stigmatizing, and inclusive. Avoid labeling or making assumption about students, because we need to be non-judgmental person while listening to the problem of our students related to their mental health issues. So instead of use the phrase like "I'm here to support you," or sorry, instead of judge your students, you can simple tell to them that "I'm here to support you," or you can ask them "How can I help?" So when you are trying to use this kind of the language, they feel like you are really going to support in this journey. You put the empathy in this matter, and you are going to demonstrate that your willingness, you are willing to assist to help them to overcome their issues. Next is encourage peer support. So sometimes it's not going to be easy for the teachers to really solve this problem alone. Okay, so you need to encourage your students to have a group discussion, support circles, and also partnering students as accountability bodies. Because when you work on this journey alone, it might be overwhelming or even add more stress. But when you see that okay, there are other people in this world who are having the same, and we got the support, we got the vibes that okay, we're going to overcome this, then you become more enthusiastic to overcome these challenges. Next is lead by example. So, as educators, even in your lesson before or end of your session in the classroom, you can model open and authentic communication about mental health. You're not supposed to say this matter every single day, but at least make a schedule for it. You can also share personal stories or experiences so they will know that we all are human. They are not alone. They are not the only person who is feeling or who is having anxiety, fear, or depression. We have to share a personal stories or experience because we have to show them, if I can overcome these things or these issues, then you can overcome this. This is why it's really important to share personal stories if you have, or you can share anyone's stories that you know that they succeed to overcome this issue. So when we demonstrate the vulnerability and showing that it's acceptable and it's possible to overcome this kind of the things, then they will be open to the discussion and they are willing to accept the help from you as educators. So next is tips for active listening and creating a safe space for students to express their concern. First, use open-ended question. Yeah, you can ask them like, how does that make you feel? Or you can say to them, can you tell me more about what you were experiencing, instead of judging them, you are too much, this is not a real feeling, just stay positive, just stay in the right pattern, and etc etc, because there are some kind of toxic positivity. Why I'm saying this? Because yeah, we all are unique. If you only simple say, okay, stay positive, these words are not going to help a person with mental health issues because they already get entrapped in their mind. They already isolate, they even already self-sabotage themselves. So this kind of stay positive, be positive is not going to work. It might work for the person who is not having mental health issues, just say, just as a affirmation or reminder for them, but for a person who already got mental health issues, it's not going to work. Okay, so you can ask them, how does that make you feel? You need to validate them that it's okay to feel in this way, your emotions are valid, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be long lasting in your life. Okay, next is practice nonverbal cues. So, like I have said, while you're listening to them, you can nodding, smiling, or simple showing a counter expression. So you know that you are listening to them, supporting, and you are eager and enthusiastic to know their stories and to help them to overcome their issues. Next is maintain confidentially. You need to assure that the conversation that you are having with your students remain confidential, okay, unless there's a risk of harm to themselves or others. This is an important point. If you see that they already got many bad thoughts about the society, you need to tell the people, the closer circle of that students. Don't keep it only for yourself. If they are in that stage of, if they are simple in the early age of stress or depression, then you can keep it for yourself, and you can suggest to seek a professional help too. Next is follow up and provide resources. So after listening to their concern, follow up with the students to check on their well-being. Let's say today your student this morning told you about what they feel or what triggered them to feel bad about themselves, for example. And just because you are being a fully good active listener at that time or this morning, it doesn't mean that it's going to solve every problem that your student have. You need to follow up. At least next week, you can ask how's their feeling again. Okay, because this is not going to be done in one session or 1 hour of talking. This is a continuously journey and you have to hold them accountable for this matter. Next is the importance of early detection. Oh, sorry. Okay, next is provide support. So like I have said in the beginning, that we can provide support by encouraging the incorporation of mindfulness, stress management techniques, and self-care practice. And here's why it's important and how educators can support the students in this area. First is mindfulness. So with the mindfulness, we can help them to develop awareness of their thoughts, feelings, and sensation in the present moments. Let's say if they're feeling sad right now, you can say it's okay, you are human, instead of put a label, you are too sensitive, you are too much. Okay. And then next is, as educators, you can introduce simple mindfulness exercise such as deep breathing or guided meditation. Why I encourage you to teach your students to have a deep breathing? Because when your students are having anxiety or even panic attack or even fear of something, they put themselves in a fight mode. So they're a fight, flight, and freeze mode as a human, as a defense mechanism, right? Rather you react or fight about what happened, or freeze, simple did nothing, or fly, simple avoid for any kind of the things related to the issues. But when you are taking a deep breath, for example, and then hold it for 3 to 5 seconds and then exhale, you send a sign to your brain that you are not in danger. Okay, so when you send the sign to your brain that you are not in danger, then you can have more concentration. You can give a proper response rather than reaction. Okay, so this kind of a thing is not going to lead you to unnecessary excuses or even create more problem. Guided meditation might not be easily for the young students, so you can simply ask them to go to the YouTube, for example, and find the sleep guided meditation they can listen before they go to the sleep. Next, they have to practice in a daily routine. You can encourage your students to practice mindfulness because it's going to enhance their focus, reduce stress, and promote overall well-being. Then you can also teach your students about stress management techniques. Okay, because teaching students effective stress management techniques equips them with valuable skills to navigate challenges. Because as human, we will always have a challenge, whether it's going to give a reward for ourselves or whether it's going to add more lesson in ourselves. And as educators, you can introduce strategies like time management, goal setting, and prioritizing. Let's say your students are having so much pressure about the academic result. You can teach them how to manage the time, how to make a goal setting so they know what is more important. Because when we talk about tasks or assignment, let's say all the tasks are really important, but you need to teach them how to prioritize the tasks, which one is important. I think all the tasks are really important for students, so which one is the closest deadline, which one is in a high risk for yourself to take more time to understand it again, and which kind of the tasks that really needs you to put more concentration because you know that that's your weakness subject, for example. So you need to teach them the goal setting and prioritization. And you can provide stress balls or relaxation exercise, or you can simply encourage them to journal at the end of the days by answering the prompt question that you can give, or you can suggest them simple journal at the end of the day, but telling themselves how's you're feeling, what the progress that you made today. Simple track the emotions, because at the end of the week you can see, you can track how's you're feeling, whether you are uh straightforward for being sad or happy, or there is swing moods or something like that. So when you can identify from your report, you can have a better coping mechanism. Next is self-care practice. So this is really important as human, not only for students, and that you can teach them for having habits such as getting adequate sleep. engaging in physical activity and maintaining a balanced health, and also fostering positive social connection. Always encourage your students, if there is a toxic friends in their circle, it's better to get rid of themselves in that circle, because it's not going to help them to get what they deserve. Okay. And it's really important to get adequate sleep, because nowadays students are having lack of sleep because they're so interested in gaming. They sleep at 12 a.m., 1 a.m., 2 a.m. because they are having war, or they are having online games, and it's got even more excited for them. They even forgot about it. And that in the next morning, they will lack of energy because they put so much energy at the night. So it's really important to remind them, educate sleep, because when we have enough sleep time, then we can concentrate even better. Okay. Next is, of course, like usual, lead by example. So, as educators, you have to model this practice by incorporating mindfulness, stress management techniques, and also self care into your own lives. So, by demonstrating your own commitment to well being, you can inspire your students. For example, regardless of how busy you are as teachers, as parents, or as any other job, you can show them that you still maintain a balanced diet. You can show them that you still have a time for exercising at least 3 times in a week, or maybe 4 times in a week, or every single day, even though in a short time, like 15 to 20 minutes. You have to live by example and show them, and bring your personal story. Maybe you can tell your students, after I had a running, or after I go to the gym, and then I went to there and try to lift the weight, blah blah blah, I feel more energized, and I feel get more confidence, blah blah blah. So you can tell your personal stories to them, so they can get more excited, because they can see how is the personality of a person who get enough sleep, who got enough time to exercise, who always prioritizes the self-care. Of course, you're not going to be a mass person, right? So they can see the real example, and it can motivate them easily, rather than only talk, talk, talk. You talk like you have to maintain your sleep, but you lack of sleep. You talk about you need to exercise, but you simply gain your weight every single month. It's not a good things, okay? So next is self-care for educators. This is really important, because yeah, acknowledging the importance of self-care is crucial for educators, because we all are human. Sometimes we feel overwhelmed for our tasks, for our duties, and sometimes we'll feel stressed about the academic result of the students, or about the behaviors or personality of the students. So as educators, we can replenish our energy, manage stress, and prevent burnout by prioritizing self care. Okay, engaging in activities that promote relaxation, setting boundaries, seeking important, and practice self compassion can really enhance our resilience. Like I have said, regardless how busy you are, try to take at least 15 to 20 minutes to exercise regularly, because when you try to exercise regularly, it can really boost your happy chemical brains, which is really going to make you increase your endorphin, serotonin, dopamine, and then it's going to make you a person with a better performance in overall. And next is also setting boundaries. Let's say you want to pay attention about the mental health issues for your students, which means that you need to pay more attention and give more time for your students, in order to build a rapport, in order to have an active listening session for them, which means maybe you got less sleep, you got less rest time, you got less blah 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 blah. So this is why it's really important to setting boundaries. You have to show empathy for them, but you also have to understand that you have to put a boundaries. You have to set when this thing is not going to cross my line. You need to put or write it down what kind of the things that you cannot accept. if this happen in your journey to help your students to overcome their mental health issues. Because if you don't have boundaries, you might end up with lack of time to rest for yourself, even less sleep, and even stress, because you are thinking too much about how to solve the problem of our students. Okay. And then, yeah, when you can try to do self-care, of course it's going to increase your resilience ability and job satisfaction, because if you don't have time for doing self-care, then you're going to blame your job. You're going to say, oh my god, I got so much tasks at work, I cannot even sleep well, I cannot even eat properly, I cannot even have a time or me time with my family members, with my loved one, with my spouse, or with my friends, then it's going to bring you with so much complaint for yourself and for other people who got involved. Okay. So recognizing that taking care of oneself is not selfish but necessary allows you as educators to bring your best self into the classroom and positively impact the student's life. Because when you can be a role model as a person, as an inspiring person in the classroom who is standing in front of your students, then you can bring that positive vibes. We are have to understand that all the things in our lives is such an energy. Maybe some people are not going to believe, okay, what kind of energy that you are talking? You have to understand that there are some kind of vibes or energy or frequency that us human can tap or cannot tap. Now, I'm not sure whether you have seen the videos on YouTube or not about there is a person who are trying to ring the bells, and then the few bells is not ringing because of they are having different frequency. It seems like sometimes you feel like, why this person cannot understand me, why this person can understand me so easily, we don't even talk deeper. Yeah, let's say this person are having the same frequency with you, the other person are not aligned with your frequency, so you cannot get along. But when you are having a good frequency in yourself, you can bring that positive vibes in the classroom, which can really inspire and energize your students. Let's say you come into the classroom with all the problems that you bring from home, whether you just had a fight with your spouse or your children, or you simple just got mad on the road because someone tried to cut your way on the road while you are driving, or yeah, you when you try to put that kind of thing or chaos, that chaotic moment before you enter the classroom, you are bringing that energy and frequency, and then when your student are going to meet you, they can feel it. But when you try to be mindful, focus, okay, let's say you had a problem with the people on the road because they try to cut your way or on your way go to the school, but that's already happened and you are being mindful, you are focused in the present right now, right here moment. You open the door, you enter the classroom, and you feel like this is not the road, this is not a complaint moment with the other drivers on the road. So you focus with the students, you can still give your smile when you are trying to give a greeting from them, then it's really going to connect. But when you focus on the things that happen before you go to the school or before you arrive to the school, then it's going to be difficult for yourself and for the students to catch the same energy, which is going to be bad or good in your journey. Okay. So next is self-care for educators. First is managing stress. It's really important for us as educators to have time management, like prioritize tasks, set realistic goals, and create a structured schedule to manage time effectively. Because it's not only students, but as educators, we also have important tasks. We cannot say, oh, this is not important tasks. So it's better to have a time management, and we can try to prioritize the tasks. Next is relaxation techniques. You can practice stress reducing techniques such as deep breathing, like you have mentioned, meditation, or mindfulness exercise to promote relaxation and calmness. You can do also self-imaginary exercise, or even simple do yoga or physical exercise at the gym or at home. Next is physical activity. Engage in regular physical activities such as exercise or yoga to release tension and boost mood and increase overall well-being. Like I have said, we got something called happy chemical brains, and when we do exercise regularly, it's going to boost our chemical brain. And then next is healthy lifestyle. When we maintain a balanced diet, get enough sleep, and limit the consumption of stimulants like caffeine or alcohol, then it will make us can exacerbate stress level. Do you know what's the difference between adults and kids? Kids usually always love sweet candy and some kind of the sweet other things like chocolate, ice cream, and many more. On the other hand, as we grow older, we can witness the elderly who cannot even take the sweet, who cannot even drink a sweet tea anymore, and any kind of the sweet cake, for example. You see, when children got so much consumption of the sweet, like sugar consumption too much, they often show a tantrum, because yeah, that's how the sugar are going to produce on their brain. But when you maintain the balanced diet, then you are having a equal or balanced opportunity to handle your mood swing. Okay. Next is something that we have to notice, like caffeine and alcohol are not really good for the long term in any cases, because it's going to destroy some of our cells. So it's better to reduce it periodically. Okay, because sometimes it's not possible to completely get rid of yourself from coffee or from alcohol. So it takes time and you need to practice with it. Next is setting boundaries. Yeah, it's really important to set boundaries. Like example, as a regular teacher, when you want to pay attention or having concern about the mental health issue, it means you have to give more time, more concentration, more empathy to the students. That's why you need to define work-life balance. So set clear boundaries between work and personal life. You have to establish specific times for work-related tasks and prioritize personal time for relaxation, hobbies, and spending time with loved ones. Just because you are really want to help your student, it doesn't mean that they can contact you 24 hours, 7 days a week. Okay, you also need to learn to say no, because it's really important to recognize and respect our personal limit, because we have, as a human, we all have limit. So we can prioritize tasks and responsibility, and don't overcommit yourself. Let's say we cannot help all people in the world, but at least we can help maybe 3 or 10 people who are willing to get help. And when we get connect with this kind of people who want to get help, we can bring impact to themselves. But if your desire, okay, I want to serve all people, I want to help all people in this world to overcome their mental health issues, yeah, it's possible, but we have to be realistic. Do you have a time for it? How much energy that you are going to invest in themselves? Okay, so you really need to learn to say no. Okay, next is self-reflection and self-care. Again, practice self reflection is really important. So you need to take time to reflect on your emotion, thoughts, and needs before you ask your students to make a journal of their thoughts or emotion. You have to model it. You have to practice and implement by yourself first. So engage in journaling or self-reflection exercise to gain self-awareness and identify areas that require attention or improvement. Just because you are a teacher who are willing to help your students overcome mental health issues doesn't mean that there's no guarantee that your life is absolutely perfect and you don't have emotion, you don't have a problem with the current situation in your life. So it's really important for you to make a time for journaling too. Okay, next is of course self-care activities. So you need to engage in the activities that bring you joy and relaxation, such as reading hobbies, or maybe doing hobbies that you like, or simply listening to music. This kind of the things is a personal thing. So maybe you're going to have a joy when you are hiking to the mountain, or when you are swimming to the sea or something like that. So this a personal thing, and you have to find where is the comfort zone when you find the joy, or where is the uncomfortable zone that can also bring the joy and relax for yourself. You need to figure this out. Okay, and you can write down what kind of things that bring you so much excitement, that bring you so much joy while doing it. What's the feeling that you are having while you are doing this thing? Try to journal it. Try to keep record of those feelings and emotion while doing such a certain thing, so you can see the pattern. You can see, okay, I feel great when I go to the park, I feel great when I was swimming, blah blah blah. You can see this pattern, and when you feel bad, you can reflect and reread again this journal, so you know that, okay, I used to have a feeling better while riding a horse or while swimming, for example. So when you are not feeling good, you know this kind of things are the list of activities that you need to do when you are in the sadness, when you are in the bad mood. Okay. Next is seeking support if it's really noticeable that you cannot help yourself. Okay, so yeah, professional network, you can connect with other educators or join professional network or organization to share experiences, seek advice, and gain support from peers facing similar challenges, because yeah, we need to have and build connections so we know that we are not alone. Next is seek guidance. Reach out to school counselors, mentor, or administrators for guidance and support when dealing with work-related stressor or personal concern. It's better to speak up rather than hold it for yourself, because when you keep holding, okay, I'm overwhelmed, but I think it's still okay. It's still my limit. I can still do it. But one day, boom, it's going to be like a bomb, and it's going to be harder for other people to help you to overcome it. So it's better to normalize to talk about the mental health issues. Next is professional development. Okay, as a lifelong learner in education field, you need to flourish your mind. You need to put on your mind that, okay, I need to grow, and I can achieve the growth by attending a workshop, conference, or training programs that focus on stress management, self-care, and educator well-being, so I can get inspired about how can overcome the challenges, because stress, anxiety, depression is not only your problem. Like I have shown in the beginning, there are so many research findings that yeah, it's even brings so much more than 30% in the population, which means like that's a lot. It means like you are not alone, so you can try to do self improvement in this way, and to learn from other people's stories too, to overcome your issues. So these opportunities can really provide valuable tools and strategies for maintaining mental health issue. Next is promoting mental health awareness in the school. It's really important. Let's say if you are trying to work alone in your classroom, if you are trying to be positive and be a good role model in your classroom, then it's not going to build an inclusive environment, because we need a bigger scale. Okay, so we can raise awareness as educators to reduce stigma and promote understanding around mental health. And we can make initiatives such as organizing awareness campaigns, so we can invite more participants. The other students from the other class can get involved, the other teachers from the other subject also can get involved, so we can bring more people, bring more awareness, and also can bring more impact, which is can lead us to make an inclusive environment in the school. We can also conduct mental health workshops for students, staff, and parents, and also advocating for staff training on mental health, which can really contribute to a comprehensive approach to mental health and also well-being. Because when we don't educate our teachers or staff or even parents about this matter, then we cannot make an early detection or intervention. Okay, so by actively promoting mental health awareness, as educators, we can foster a culture that prioritizes the mental well being of all members of the school community and ensure that appropriate support and resources are available. It means you're not going to work alone. It means that when you are not working alone, you are going to bring more impact, because the thing is, let's say you are the teacher who is willing to help, you are one. And this is your students who are having issues. 1 plus 1 in math is equal to, right? But when you are making campaigns, when one teacher collaborate with one teacher, it doesn't mean two, but it doesn't mean 10 or even 1,000. So it means that you can bring more impact. Because why I said it can be 10 or even more, because you are a teacher. You might have 30 students or 60 students, and the other teachers are having another 30 students or even 60 students. When these two teachers are make a combination or collaboration together, so it means we can bring more students who are care about the mental health issues. Okay, so one teacher collaborate with one teacher is not supposed to be a two teacher in general, but we can see as more opportunities in this journey to spread mental health awareness. Because yeah, every teacher has their own students, right? Maybe it's different subject, but they are teaching a different classroom, different students, different grade, for example. So it's going to be make a bigger impact. So, as educators, like I have said, we have the power to reduce the stigma if we talk or if we normalize the mental health conversation. So, by actively addressing the challenge and stigma surrounding mental health, we can create an environment where students feel safe and comfortable seeking help. But when you don't even provide open discussion about mental health issue, then of course they're going to afraid, because they might think like other students might judge them, or an adult might don't want to listen this story, because yeah, they might think like it's cheesy or it's not important for them. So emphasizing empathy, compassion, and open dialogue about mental health can really break down barriers and promote understanding among students, staff, and also parents. So yeah, like I have said in the beginning, as educators, you have to lead by example, which means you have to be a role model. You can share your stories, because as human, I do believe you have your own personal stories related to stress, depression, and anxiety. Even me, who are talking right now about mental health issues, I also have my own personal stories. Okay, there's no guarantee that we all free, we might free right now from this kind of this problem, but yeah, back to the past, I have my own stories that I can share, which I believe that the other people outside there are having the same issues with what I had before too. Okay, so by fostering a culture of support, we as educators can empower students to prioritize their mental well-being, seek assistance when needed, and also cultivate an inclusive and compassionate school community. Because when we don't become a person who is judgmental while listening to a story, we can really foster the comfortable and bring safe environment for our students to share their story, to not put a label for their emotion and also for their feelings. So it's going to make an inclusive environment for our students. So, in conclusion, as educators, we are having a crucial role for promoting mental health and well-being, because we can create a supportive environment by understanding mental health challenges, fostering trusting relationship, and encouraging open dialogue. Like I have said, even when you just enter the classroom, you can bring the positive energy to the classroom. Okay, so through incorporating mindfulness, stress management, and self-care practice, educators equip students with essential tools for their well-being. And overall, educators can positively impact students' life by prioritizing mental health. Because when you teach your students how to prioritize their tasks, how to set a time management, then when they are having stress about their tasks or about their homework, they know where they have to start first. Okay, so I hope that from today's session you are able to take some lesson takeaways, and thank you so much for listening, for being here with us, and for encouraging yourself, and for having a desire to help your students to overcome the challenge, and to have a desire as educators for wanting a building inclusive environment for our future generation. So thank you so much for listening. I'll stop sharing my screen. Okay, I'm giving back to our host, Dr. Haider.
Yeah, thank you very much, Prof. Really, that was a wonderful to see the way you started it, the way you described it. I love that thing, and what a outline you have designed. It was comprehensive and it included each and everything. And I was looking at your content, the way you designed it was so great. I love the way you started it from the anxiety, the depression, and the stress, and how minutely you discuss each and everything, what is the differentiation, and how educator can help the students, the classroom, what are the strategies, what are the active listening role, particularly in that. I love that thing. And then the self-care support, the support system, all these things were so great, so nice. And I was just thinking that how great knowledge you possess, because in slides you have mentioned such a wonderful things, and then you were explaining different things in a very wonderful way, that it was not only based on the slides, but it was based on your own understanding. So thoroughly, I enjoyed this session and the way you were explaining each and everything. And I noticed one thing which was very great, that from first slide to last slide of conclusion, your energy level was same. I did not feel anything like that you are tired, and you were explaining the way it should have been explained. Because sometimes we see that the speaker, they get tired, but I did not see anything in you that you were tired and you were not explaining very well. So really wonderful. Thank you very much. Such a great presentation you did, and you explained very well. And I hope that our purpose is served, since you covered so many content and you covered most of the question in your wonderful presentation. Thank you. And still, there are certain questions which needs your clarification and your advice. So, shall we start with the first question, please?
Yeah, sure. I'm ready for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, so the first question, as you can see on the screen as well, that how can educators effectively balance their personal and professional lives to prevent burnout? Can you just explain quickly so that we take other question? Yes, please.
Okay, okay. To have a personal life balance and also personal matter, we have to set boundaries, like I have explained, because as human, we have to set boundaries, make a list about what things that other people cannot cross, but we cannot expect other people to understand it. So once you set boundaries, okay, other people cannot say this to me, other people cannot ask me to this by the time of 8 p.m. For example, I have to spend my time with family with this reason. And then you have to learn to say no, because yeah, educators want to help people, but again, we also have to put a consideration that we have to help people who want to get help. So we have to set clear boundaries and address it, because don't expect other people know your boundaries without you communicate it, because yeah, we are not able to read the other people mind. So after you set boundaries, you have to tell them, let's say you cannot work after 8 p.m, you cannot take your students tax or maybe your college call after 8 p.m. So once there is students or other colleagues who cross the boundaries, you better communicate them first. You better educate them about the boundaries that you are having, so you can expect that they're understanding about your boundaries. Because if you only said, okay, I have these boundaries, and then you expect other people know, and then who are you? Are you thinking that other people are mind reader? It's not going to work in that way. So after set boundaries, learn to say no. You have to communicate. You have to address what you cannot do in your boundaries level. Okay, I hope that can answer the question.
Yes, very wonderful. Thank you very much for such a wonderful elaboration. And now we have another question which is very important, and it is regarding that can practicing the mindfulness and self compassion enhance educators' ability to manage stress and create a empathic learning environment? Because
Yeah,
we have
sure.
to be, yeah, yes, please.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for the. I do really like this question because yeah, when we are practicing mindfulness, which means that we are truly put awareness that we are in this present moment right now, right here at this time. And when we are fully mindful about what we are doing without thinking too much about what the past have done or what the things that we will have in the future, then we are fully pulling our concentration and attention in the moment. And then when we are practicing this thing, we can manage the stress level, because as educators we might have stress because we are trying to predict what will happen in the future, or what is the cause or root problems from our past experience. Let's say if educators hold the past problem too much and bring to the present moment instead of focusing on the current situation, they are thinking too much, so they are not fully concentration about this present moment, which can lead to misleading or maybe miss the deadline for the current task or deadline. And when educators put so much attention about what will happen, or what if blah 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 happened to me or happened to my school or happened to my students, it will increase your stress level. So when we are learning about mindfulness, maybe you can simple practice self deep breathing, and then when you're trying to take a deep breath, you bring your awareness that you are in the present moment right now, right here at the moment, not in your past, not in the future that you are expecting on your mind. Then you can create more concentration, which not lead you to the stress, because yeah, like I have said, we tend to bring the stress from our fear about what other people will say, what other people will think, which is the future, or what other people said about our work that we have done, which is related to our past. So when we are focusing in the present moment right now, we can reduce our stress level, and we can bring more self-compassion when we are fully in the present moment, because yeah, we are giving a full concentration and full attention. So the answer is yes, of course. When you practice mindfulness, you can reduce your stress level and bring many meaningful work towards your life and the people around you too.
Yeah. Thank you very much once again, Prof. The way you are giving answer and giving in knowledge is so great. I'm just thinking that when you will be delivering any lecture that is for 3 hours, how great it would be, how great content it would be, and really that's so wonderful answer. Now we have another very interesting question, and that is related to the peer. That how can we influence them as well? That how can educator empower themselves to take proactive steps towards mental health while inspiring their peers to do the same as well, because we have a great responsibility towards our peers as well, because we have influence on them. So your recommendation, please.
Okay, so it's not really easy actually to empower ourselves when we got no resource. That's why in my presentation I said that we have to share the personal stories to inspire our students. So it's same. We have to learn from other people's stories to motivate ourselves. Because if we only hold ourselves, okay, I believe in myself, I can handle this thing, then one day you might feel burnt out when you cannot find the quick result. Because sometimes people only want to get quick result and they tend to give up when they don't get the result, right? So it's really important to seek or to find the other people or the same personal stories who already overcome the situation that you are having, so you can hold it as example and as an affirmation that if other people can do that, I can do that too. And if other people and I can do that, so I can inspire our peers or our students to do the same. So be a person who is eager to find the community who are having the same interest is really important, because when we are in the environment or in the circle of a person who are having the same interest, it can really boost our enthusiasm for learning even deeper about the certain context. Because yeah, like I have said, learning from the stories is quicker than reading a book. Because even though I know that most of the books are the personal stories of the writers, right? But sometimes listening to the podcast or listening to the videos of the people who overcome the some mental health issues are really important for us to get inspired, because we know that in this matter we are not alone. And when we feel we are not alone, we are not feeling that so much heavy in our shoulders. But when we feel like it's only me who got this problem, it's already put more weight on our brain. And there is something like called cognitive thinking pattern, which is our thought drives our feeling and our feeling drives our behavior, which lead to the action. So when we think, after we, let's say I watch a video where I saw a person who overcome a stress, for example, and after I watch the motivational video, I tell myself that okay, this person is having a quite similar issues with me. So if this person can overcome this, then I can also overcome it. That thoughts lead to my feeling I'm confident that I can overcome these challenges or these issues, right? And when I feel confident, I can take action, okay? Because I will put consideration about the steps that other people explain to me, because I confidence that this thing is also going to work for me. Even though sometimes, like I have said, every person is unique. Maybe you have 10 steps, maybe I have 15 steps to overcome several things, but at least one thing that we have in common, that there is a promise of the progress that we will make at the end of the day, as long as we take the action, as long as we want or we are willing to learn about something from other people. So this kind of the things can really inspire us, which can lead other people can see it from ourselves. When we become a lifelong learner, we tend to not only seek from one example but from the other example too, because sometimes we need the comparison. Why this coping strategist is not working with me but working with that person? Is there any other person who is working in that different coping strategy? So sometimes we can combine these two coping strategies from two different people who will actually become our most common personalized coping strategy. So we have to find more resources, because when we don't have resources, then how can we get motivated? Because sometimes, like I have said, saying to ourselves that I believe that this is going to work, I believe that positive mind it's always win in this matter. It's not always working in that, because when we are having mental health issue, and when we already put so much things on our mind, what we need is the real example, is the things that we can see. Because when we have, let's say, negative thoughts, we cannot even analyze or identify what's ongoing or what's going on our mind. But we can see something clearer or even get more clarity when we witness or when we watch or when we listen that other people are having the same issues and they can overcome it too. So it's better for us to have a desire to learn from other people's stories, and to implement their coping strategies level into our lives, which can lead to other people get inspiration from ourselves too, because we have to lead by the example, right? Don't expect people are going to follow our way if we only do that for once, or do that for 3 times, or do that for 1 week. Okay, so when, let's say, when I feel okay, I got this coping strategies as my master key, you have to keep repeating it, so you can get you can create a stronger neuron connection on your brain. So when there is something bad happen, you can touch you can access that neuron easily and quickly, so you can solve your problem quicker and easier compared to before, when you are still trying to build the neuron connection each of every single day. I think that's it.
Wow, very nice. Once again, thank you very much for such a elaborative answer. And since we have the time constraint, there are a lot of questions which are in the queue, but we have a short of time. So at the end of the session, we ask our each guest regarding their message to the world. So, what is your message to the world as a speaker, author, teacher, researcher, trainer, learner, professional, and educator? Yes, please.
Okay. My message to all ages, not only for students or educators, is don't think that the world is running the exact thing with your mind. Okay, because sometimes you cannot believe what your mind is telling you, because there might be external factors who influence your mind. So don't always believe what you are thinking, because if you believe you're thinking 100%, sometimes you end up with self-sabotaging yourself. So always try to identify your emotion and your feelings, so you know how to take a better action later. You know how is the consequences of a certain action. Okay, so yeah, don't forget that your feeling emotions are valid, and it's okay to feel whatever that you are feeling, but it's not okay to think that those feelings are long lasting in your life. I think that's it.
Wow, wonderful message you have given to the world. Thank you very much for such a wonderful session, and I'm really grateful for sharing your wonderful knowledge with the audience from around the globe. And to the audience, that please do follow our distinguished guest speaker through her work, and you can email her for future learning and guidance. She is very generous and always ready to help the people. Moreover, wonderful explanation and powerful content which the great speaker has already elaborated will help you to learn and develop your understanding regarding it. So that's all we have time for today. And thank you once again to Ms. Herdiana Dewi Nurfika. And I would like to thank our audience who joined us from around the globe. If you have additional questions regarding the information shared today, please email or connect to the speaker directly through her email or maybe social media account. Thank you all for your support and liking our sessions. Stay tuned as many sessions are on the way. Please do not miss any session. Until next session, take care of yourself. Bye bye.